Hey, what's going on, guys? I thought I would actually share a collection of some of the things I've printed out. Um, just various works on the internet, of like other artists' works, or just like, illustrations that unfortunately a lot of these artists they don't have, books or, physical prints and stuff like that of their own works that that I would like to have, but obviously I can't because they don't, you know, release any books or anything like that to where you can actually go to buy their work physically or whatever like that. So I kind of decided to invest in the printer and kind of print out some of the things that I want physically, whatever like that. So this little case, suitcase thing or whatever like that, literally has, if I unbuckle this real quick, turn it right, and have it pop out right, are just like various like different, they're in like categories, right? It's like a folder case of just different drawings and whatnot. And I thought, at least for today, since I literally have hundreds of prints in here of just various works of just different artists and stuff like that, I normally kind of break them down in their own little category. And I thought today that for this video, I would go on to show some of kind of like my Western comic book influence prints and stuff like that I printed out. Because I thought that would be fun. So boom, right here. So off rip, I mean, we have the great J. Scott Campbell, which is Danger Girl. I think you can buy the books of Danger Girl. Actually, they're available online. I think, I may be wrong, but I think they're more on the expensive end. I mean, Danger Girl is very old and stuff like that. But like I said, this is just kind of all my prints regarding. There's just not gonna be one specific artist in this pack of prints or whatever like that. It's gonna be various different comic book artists and stuff like that. And I unfortunately don't know the names of all of them, but by all means, if I can spot one out, I'll make it very certain to let you guys know the name of the artist. But for right now, we actually have some of J. Scott Campbell stuff. Kind of a quick brief on J. Scott Campbell. What his work kind of like means to me. I kind of like the action figure, kind of like that age back then, and the way he constructs women it's amazing in terms of stylization, right? We see right here it's very geometric with the forms, right? It's very good. So this is like some of his stuff, some of his sketches, and some of like his work in progress from the comic Danger Girl. So this artist is J. Scott Campbell, which, if you know, J. Scott Campbell is a comic book legend. So stuff. So I did some of these prints, right, depending on the size of the image. Sometimes it would cut off, right? I wouldn't get the full half. So sometimes we'd get prints like that if it seems like it was cut off. It's because it was. So. And I personally haven't really read through the entirety series of Danger Girl, right? But just from looking at, obviously, the art in it, the main character, I don't know her name or anything like that, but it gives me a strong resemblance to Angelina Jolie, right? Specifically kind of like from the Tomb Raider. So, I mean, maybe there's no coincidence there. Maybe that is what he was going for, but all the same, it looks amazing. So. I printed these out, right? These are kind of like notes to kind of like his methods, right, or his process, of building his figure. So I thought these are pretty cool. And stuff like this, you just can't, there's nowhere to kind of like go out and buy stuff like this, it's kind of like floating around in archives and stuff like that, so. Some things you just can't get in books, which is why I have all these prints so that I could hold on to. Oh. And so far, this has been all J. Scott Campbell's work, from the comic Danger Girl. I think came out in the early to mid 90s. Yeah. Some great stuff. Some notes here says the drawings on this page are development illustrations for an Arabian Nights type theme that was supposed to have been an entire level of the DG video game. Unfortunately, that portion of the game never materialized, but these drawings hopefully give you a good idea of what an Abbey of Arabia adventure might someday look like. Okay, so a little context given to the illustrations we see here, some concepts, right, for Arabian Nights. Pretty cool. I mean, that's awesome. And I've studied a lot from J. Scott Campbell's. Actually, not enough. In terms of stylization, J. Scott Campbell's construction is top notch, next level. Very, very strong understanding of perspective. And what I like about these, right, and I printed up because you see like these little, you can see like his method, right, with these little kind of very construction-y figures. You know, you can honestly study and reverse engineer his process in some of these female figure he goes on to create. Some prints of some of the panel pages, right, more of the pencils from Danger Girl. And J. Scott Campbell is a huge influence on my work. It's funny because I mean it's like a lot of artists are, right? It's never just one artist that influences you. It's a lot, but I would say just in general, just comic book pencil artists influence me. We have some Joe Mad in here coming up soon, so Joe's another beast in the not just the comic book, but also video game industry, video game concept industry. So this is good stuff. Look at how he's capturing these shadow shapes and these values and these lights and darks. Very beautiful stuff. Very eye candy. Another print. I think I was experimenting. I think this just slipped through. Just trying to get the right print size. This is also just another cover. And boom. Now this is a new artist. This is legendary Joe Mad. You know, if you know, Joe's pencils are unbeat and Joe is on a different level, you know. So this is now Joe Mad stuff, and I've studied a bit of Joe's stuff, and what can I say? Joe Mad's a fucking beast. Yeah, Joe Mad was heavily influenced, like, you know, obviously from Western comics, but also anime. And he really tried to instill both styles into his work, both Western American comics and Japanese manga. Yeah, huge fan of Joe Mad Spider-Man. Yeah, look at that webbing. Great stuff, great stuff. And you can't get enough of Joe Mad. from the Darkstalker. I said Darkstalker, Darksiders, specifically a Darksiders 2. I finished the first one. I started the second game. I was a bit burnt out from the first game, so I kind of started the second one, but kind of never went back to it. But from my understanding, the second is the much better game. Honestly, from my understanding, from the little I played from the second one, it's kind of a rehaul. Like, a lot of the game mechanics has changed in the second Darksiders game, but nonetheless, Joe Mad was the, if I'm not mistaken, was the head art director, or yeah, head concept art director, yeah. But yeah, Joe Mad worked a lot in video games after his comic book stuff. So if not still, I think he's still working in the video game industry. I mean, I could be wrong. It's been a minute. More Joe stuff. More Darksiders. And this is a different artist. He's another comic book illustrator. Penciler. I forgot his name. I found his Twitter from found him off Twitter, and he's done kind of like these reimagined. Obviously, it's Bleach, right? We have Ichigo, Rukia, and I don't know the little bear creature up there, but he does these revision, kind of redrawn these manga characters, obviously in the Western comic book style, and I mean these go hard. Yeah. If I can find this artist, I'll probably put it up on the screen right now because I think his work is really worth checking out. We have more of him right here. This is actually him doing a Naruto, right? So I'm a big Naruto art fan. I love Naruto. It's honestly my first ever anime I really liked. So we have Naruto, we have Boruto, and then we have Minato. We don't talk about Boruto though. Now more of what he's known for. Like I said, he's a penciler. I think I see a little bit of his signature down there, but I really can't make it out. Unfortunately, not all these prints are of the best quality. They're not equally printed out because, it's the internet, and sometimes you have less quality resolution images and whatnot. There's only so much your printer can do, right? This X23 goes hard as hell. The artist name is actually right there, and I believe it's pronounced Paul Albarrios, and supposedly this was from 2011. Yeah, but a beautiful, beautiful X23 full rendered sketch we got here. Beautiful. Love the line weight. This is amazing. Now this artist, okay, so it says J. Scott Campbell. Yeah, I believe this is more Scott stuff, I'm guessing. There's some stuff in here. I'm kind of finicky, but this is more of like, think of this as more like a mood board of prints, right? Of more comic book Western pencils. I was going way here, but yeah, I imagine this is just a Scott stuff. So back to J. Scott Campbell. I believe this is also still J. Scott Campbell. I could be wrong, but who knows? All the same, it's good. Good stuff. This artist is unknown. I think I saw this on Pinterest, and it made it into the mood board, so printed it out. Another artist unknown, but an amazing Wolverine nonetheless. Yep. Right now these are just random artists or like that, but yeah. Great Black Widow. Not sure with this one, but I love the shadow shapes, with the arrows. Great stuff. Y'all might be familiar. I believe this is a more famous comic book artist. Forgot his name, but I think I've seen a couple of his stuff on Twitter. Yeah, his stuff is legendary. I don't even know how this kind of slipped through. I don't think this is comic related. I think I just enjoyed the pencil work and stuff like this, or the hatching. But yeah. Nice Hulk we have here. And now we're actually coming across some of the Marvel Rival concept stuff. Venom Vanguard. From my understanding, a lot of the artists in Marvel Rivals are kind of like outsourced. There's not one definitive artist for these concept designs and stuff like that. They're kind of like outsourced, right, for the most part. But nonetheless, we all know the Marvel Rival style is god tier. And without, you can't have a god tier, game without god tier concept art. So this is some of the Rival stuff. Great stuff. I also love what they did with Storm in this game. Yeah, the Marvel Rivals art direction is just, it's god tier. The game has amazing art. Back to an unknown artist. I'm not sure, but you might have seen this around. Another great piece. Just great pencils. I absolutely love this Catwoman. Oh, I cannot remember the artist's name. But I absolutely love. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, it's the same dude who did the anime, the Bleach and the Naruto comic book drawings. Yeah, his stuff is really, really good. Yeah, I need to find his Twitter. He actually gives like critique feedback and stuff like that. Actually, real time on his Twitter is kind of cool. He'll do like a little overlay sketch and let people know what they need to work on. Cool dude. Tell he loves what he does. Now this is actually from Steven Zapata, which isn't a comic book artist at all. He's more of like an art instructor type of dude. Yeah, he does a lot of freeform drawing, anatomical abstraction drawings. And this is his Venom, because Venom can be very abstract, right? And also his play on anatomy. But yeah, this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is Steven Zapata's Venom. Steven Zapata is also another great artist of works I really enjoy. Artist unknown, but an amazing Supergirl nonetheless. And we got my personal favorite, David Finch. Learned a lot from David Finch back in the day. Super humble artist, great artist, and another OG in the industry, comic book industry. And he's still going strong to this day. I believe he's in his 50s now. Hopefully I stay sharp at that age. More David Finch. Like I said, doing some printings of some arm anatomy demos and stuff like that. It's always good to do like little prints and stuff like that. Keep some notes for myself. This is from, I believe, a kind of a how to draw a comic book. I don't know it, but I thought the notes in it were really good on rendering the sphere and kind of like where the light source is coming from, right? As we see how the sphere is lit, we see how that applies to the full anatomical figure of the human form. So, good stuff. And I'm not sure, but I love this Harley Quinn. I love the stylization of the gun, just in case. I just love how everything is pushed. It's a very nice Harley Quinn. And I believe that's it for this stack. So just to let you guys know, this is just one category of one of the many prints I have. Like I said, I've printed hundreds of things, and this might be like a little series or whatever like that, where I go and break down and cover all these kind of various artists. And, you know, pretty much, in case you're wondering, these are all things that influence me as an artist. You know, in other words, you know, a mood board or inspiration board, or, you know, kind of the ways I would want to draw. You know, so if you guys like stuff like this, be sure to like the video. If you're new, just hit subscribe. I do videos like these often, and you know, that's pretty much it for this segment of, you know, of this kind of series video with my prints. With that being said, stay safe, take care, and most importantly, never stop drawing. All right, guys, bye bye.